Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back. This is Kara, Whispers to a Bride. So the idea for this episode came from a recent client who really was in that final stretch of her wedding planning and felt very much like she wasn't connected to her fiancé and like experiencing this lead up to the wedding in the way that she really wanted to. Obviously, like so many brides, a lot had gone on. There were a lot of distractions, unexpected challenges, and just stressors and just life things that kept happening to make this chapter of being engaged and like really leading up to the wedding not as sort of carefree and bonding and like special in terms of like their relationship as she had pictured, right? Things had just gotten to be a lot. And so we get frayed and we get distracted and we get busy and we get overwhelmed and we get emotional. And I think she was just really sort of lamenting and kind of regretting and just feeling like the days were slipping by, and before she knew it, it was going to be the wedding day, and she wasn't going to have had the lead up that she really wanted in these final days before the wedding with her partner. And so we were kind of talking through, okay, what does that look like? What do you want it to be? And we really kind of uncovered this thing that I think all of us do, which is when we think that it needs to be grand and like out of a movie, and there need to be these like amazing dates and strolls and like carefree afternoons and just big space to really be with each other and just in this really relaxed, carefree, spontaneous way, that then when you're really living your life and you've got like checklists and people pinging you and so much going on, those times like don't present themselves very easily. And so we had really talked about like, okay, instead of trying to create these epic date nights or these big grand gestures, these wonderful, like endless afternoons of like doing nothing together, how can you still create like small bonding moments that keep you on the same page, that keep you sort of tied into each other and walking in step, feeling really like together on the same page as you're leading up to your wedding day without like a big production and without adding it as something else on the to-do list. That was the other thing. She was like, I don't want to having to make plans and do all this stuff like another thing to do before the wedding, because she was already feeling stressed out. So it really reminded me of a lot of the advice that the Gottman Institute, the place that studies relationships and has the best sort of data at this point on what makes relationships really work. And they're always about the small things, right? And it's such a great reminder as you are leading up to your wedding day or wherever you are in your relationship, it's always good to refocus on the little things. It's not those big gestures, right? The wedding is the big gesture. But what got your relationship started and what will enhance it and keep it going long after the big grand wedding are these small things. So we talked about how to incorporate teeny tiny things. And I just kind of want to run through some ideas in case it's helpful to you as you are either on either side of your wedding day in your relationship, again, with your significant other, but also some of these things can be used in other relationships. I'm always caring about your entire inner circle. So most important, think of like the very, very easiest thing, like what can be done in 5 minutes or less. That can be like just making sure you send a nice text or leave a cute note. You can make it around the countdown. You can say like 5 days to go, 5 things I'm excited about. Just share what's on your mind, what you've been most grateful for, what's been on, what I would love to do is like what's been on your mind or what you're most looking forward to about the wedding day with a countdown. I feel like that is kind of like a fun back and forth that will often invite your partner to also share the same kind of thing. And it'll just sort of like build that exciting anticipation without adding more pressure. It'll just sort of give you a glimpse into like, oh, I didn't realize he was so excited to see his uncle, or I didn't realize like he was nervous about the first dance, or whatever it is. Like it'll just kind of deepen and open some more conversation and hopefully bring some lightness and some insight and some sweetness in just a tiny, tiny text. Do not think it's not enough. Do it anyway. The other thing is like find a way, and this was my client actually really offered this up herself. And then it's funny, the Gottman Institute backs it up, like a 15 to 20 minute thing you can do. Can you get coffee together? Can you walk to the mailbox together? Can you help unload the car together? Just sit together. Make sure you're saying the hellos and goodbyes, just having at least 15 to 20 minutes where you're sort of like decompressing, hearing about their day, just chatting, just both really available, not on your phone, but really sort of connecting face to face goes such a long way. Again, sometimes we don't even want to start it because we're like, it's not worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. Make it a habit now, and it will serve you on your wedding day and long beyond. The other thing that I absolutely love is reminding yourself to use really polite words and keep our manners as not just like some formal rules that are like annoying and like nitpicky, but like use your manners as like just another easy, quick way to infuse love into your day-to-day interaction. So a lot of us think that like we need to have our best manners for like strangers or like people we don't see that often, but really manners are so supportive and wonderful when we're using them with the people we're most comfortable with. So always saying please and thank you, it goes so far, especially when it's not necessary. It just gives that extra sweetness and that extra appreciation and love and respect to your partner that just builds that really cushy nest of positivity that you want your relationship to have. And the other thing is to say you're sorry. I never can overstate how important it is to take responsibility for when you have screwed up, even when it's embarrassing, even when it's annoying. The sooner and easier you come to the sorry, the more joy you will have in your relationship, right? I think it's just so important to acknowledge our wrongs. Even when we make a mistake that we didn't mean to, there's going to be hurt feelings that you didn't even intend to. And technically you didn't do anything wrong, but your partner is hurt or offended or whatever. Apologize. It's so healing and important and useful, and something that the studies show, the quicker you guys can apologize to each other, forgive each other, then you're not going to be like building up that defensive stance that so many couples get into where you're constantly defending and like keeping score and getting into that whole thing. Just cave early, apologize when something goes wrong, and then you'll be able to sort of reconnect and deepen that connection without all the tension of like having wronged someone and not taking ownership for it. And then there's just remembering, like, do just small things for each other. Using kind words, having your manners, saying you love each other, writing out or texting or saying what you appreciate about each other is so important. But of course, the studies show that actions do speak louder than words. So whatever kind of small gesture or favor or little tiny thoughtful thing you can do as you're leading up to the wedding, like, will be remembered and noticed and appreciated. So any little thing you can do to make their life a little easier or sweeter is just going to go so far. Even just saying like they have to go run an errand, saying that you'll come with them, right? Just giving that little bit of quality time that like you don't need to, but it's just like an extra little thing. Spending the time is just so huge. So again, getting their favorite thing, doing something they forgot to do, grabbing something that you know that they're going to forget, like making a little list of things for them so they don't have to do the mental work, whatever it is, these little gestures are just so important. And I think especially when you're just frazzled and harried and overwhelmed leading up to your wedding, again, you think it's going to be like this grand, perfect, romantic chapter in your life. Then you get to it and you're like, wow, this is really stressful and overwhelming. And I barely have any time for my partner. And I feel like we're so disconnected. And what do we do? And we have to plan all these date nights, vacations and stuff. And you really don't. You need to practice now what's going to serve you in your marriage, which is little tiny moments packed with love, admiration, respect, care, truth, right? Those are the kind of things that your relationship will be built with in little ways, day after day. So do not put pressure on yourself to do big, crazy, wild, beautiful, extravagant things. If you can do them, of course, do them. But tiny things, do not underestimate the importance of little loving things on your way to the altar and beyond. Hopefully this was helpful to you. I know for me, it's such a great reminder. Like, we lose this obvious stuff all the time. And so I'm just so glad that I reminded myself of it, and hopefully it helped you. Until next time, I am wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.